That seems to be the American way in a lot of places. I don't know. What do we know? What do we know? All we know is there's some kind of like fantastical, made up solar event coming our way.
Fake news.
Allegedly, this celestial event is coming.
Look, I don't believe it for a second. It's just the Earth is flat. How can this possibly be?
You've been talking to that astrologer again?
I did, yeah. But we have with us Loretta Whitesides, and I have her. Wait, what did I do with that? I have her website up here. She's got a cool website. One of my favorite books, by the way, is the book The Right Stuff, which was written by
Thomas Wolfe.
Boom, beat me to it.
Nice.
And Tom Wolfe, I think it's his best book personally. Although Bonfire of the Vanities is pretty good too. But what a great book, and actually a pretty good movie interpretation too. So I definitely see. I mean, what a cast too, by the way. If you ever see that movie, it's so beautifully shot. But she wrote the new Right Stuff. She's spoken at. She went to the TEDx Manhattan Beach thing. She spoke there, and she went to earmuffs. Everybody who doesn't want to hear it. She went to Stanford, and then she went to Caltech. Oh my gosh! So, I just did. There's a lady who passed away here. I just ran an obituary in the day's newsletter who was a Caltech grad, PhD from Caltech, and she was a naturalist person. Very interesting.
I love that.
Some of the folks are here. All right, so Loretta, you're here and you've survived so far. Have anyone tried to convert you over to different things? Have you?
I had my first encounter with a local at the library. It was great. It was.
What did they say?
Beautiful.
What did they say to you? Did they say?
He said, "Is it okay if we talk politics?"
Oh my God! Oh, was it Jeff Stone?
No, I can handle Jeff Stone. He's lovely.
Yeah, he is lovely.
He got a hockey stick telescope. What's not to love?
I know.
Yes.
I know. He's amazing.
He had me
He's
at a
the
hockey stick
coolest
telescope.
guy.
But you're planning I think the thing that you're going to help us with here is to understand, for people who don't get this, the importance of this event, the scale of it, the people who are going to come. Leslie's already heard it. I mean, Leslie gets like,
Leslie doesn't need to be convinced.
Leslie people come to her. Did you know there's going to be this going to happen? And Leslie's like, I am
aware.
Yeah. It's pretty much been determined since like the 16th century is going to happen. So we know.
Yeah.
All right, we got it. So, but tell us a little bit about like why you think it's going to be such a big deal for people to come and see this.
Well, that's perfect you said that, because it's actually, there hasn't been an eclipse like this in Hill Country since the 13th century.
Wow.
So it's been over 600 years since we've had the opportunity to see this locally.
Can you imagine how confusing that must? Well, they probably actually knew too.
No.
They probably.
I bet that was pretty scary.
I don't know, man. If you believe Graham Hancock, man, they knew, man. They were ready for it.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm just saying.
I could be.
I don't know. I was not around in 13. I cannot speak to 13.
Me neither.
But what I can say is that it's an incredible experience, and most Americans have never had it.
Yeah.
I'm lucky because I got to see my first eclipse in Africa. So they don't usually come to the United States. I'm going to be 50 the week of the eclipse.
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
nice. Congratulations.
What a cool birthday gift.
Welcome to the club.
So to give you a sense of scale, there hasn't been a total eclipse, unless you went to the one in 2017, which someone, like most of us,
The Great American.
Great
Was that
American
that one?
eclipse,
Yeah.
went all the way from Oregon to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Most Americans haven't had a chance to see a total eclipse of the sun.
Right.
There was another one in 1979 that went like through like Seattle and like the northern.
Right.
The
I remember
northwest,
that one. I
northeast.
remember that they let us out of school, let us out of the classrooms. Like, all right, don't look up, anybody. Don't do anything. And
the message of 79 was don't look up.
Right.
Okay, so that's not the message this time. The message is look the F up.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Because
Yes.
it's
No, we don't say F anymore. We just say look up, raw dogger. That's what we say.
Okay, all right. Thanks for teaching me the lingo. This is good.
Say that.
Don't repeat anything out of Lewis's mouth.
You want?
Okay, I trust these
Sorry.
guys more.
Sorry.
Maybe read the room first.
Right. Yeah.
Family friendly, man. Family friendly.
Raw dogger.
But this is more than just a science experiment, and also most of us have seen a partial eclipse, because in 2017 the whole country got to see a partial
Right.
eclipse. So we've gotten a taste of it, but that is nothing compared to what's about to happen to us. And
Right.
the other piece is that the eclipse path is only 100 miles wide. And it's going to go from Texas up to the Great
That's
Lakes.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so only this 100-mile band of the United States is going to get it. So everyone else who's outside the band has to come here.
That's right.
So if you have people in downtown San Antonio, New Braunfels, San Marcos, Houston, El Paso, New Orleans. They're all
Anywhere on that
they're all coming
I-10
here.
corridor.
They're all coming here.
They are. They are.
And that's why we're here, because we're like, okay, we want to host them. I mean, if you hate the crowds, you can go to Utopia, or you can go to.
Well, they're coming whether you hate them,
Uvalde.
if you hate them or not. People are
No, I
coming.
mean, you can escape the crowds. If you
Yes.
if you still want to see the eclipse and you want to escape the crowds, you just go off more into the country.
Yes.
But our job is to welcome them here and make sure
Yes.
they got a place to park and some water and a porta potty and.
Yes.
And
And-
let's hope that we have actually some decent. Well, I mean, if it's a little
They're
overcast.
predicting that because we're one of the to have the best weather, and typically
Yeah.
we do
Yeah.
during that time.
So I mean, we're a year
Fingers
out.
crossed.
We're a
Yeah.
year out right now, and today's been it will be kind of iffy, being April 3rd. We've had this sort of we have the June gloom here that's in April and May for the most part.
That's
so
a good way to put it.
but we'll see how it goes though, for sure. So
So the eclipse will hit about 1:30 in the afternoon. So the reason we're here this week, what we're doing, why we're talking about this a year in advance, is because one of the things you can do this week is you can go out in your backyard, because you don't want to be driving next year on the 8th. There's going to be 150,000 cars here. And see where the sun is in the sky this week. Because where the sun is in the sky this week is where the sun's going to be next year for the
Okay.
eclipse.
oh, nice.
And see where it is at 1:30 in the afternoon. And the eclipse will be about 4 minutes and 20 some seconds here in Kerrville. And so you want to look and see where the sun is. And okay, but the most important thing is how incredible it's going to be. So people are like, they're thinking about the traffic, they're thinking about the nuisance, but I'm here to talk about just the experience.
Yeah.
This is an experience that brought me to my knees in awe. It's what makes people fly around the world to see these things.
Right.
And this is going to be the most watched eclipse of all time. Usually they're in remote corners of the world. The next ones are going to be in, Egypt and Australia and Saudi Arabia. But this one is going over major cities, going over Austin and Dallas and Indianapolis and Cleveland. And 32 million people live in the path of totality
Wow.
in the United States. But the experience is, okay, so about 4 minutes though, the moon clicks into place in front of the sun, it gets dark. The stars are going to come out. The temperature's going to drop. You'll see a 360-degree sunset.
Wow.
And the animals are going to be going crazy. I'm going to be going crazy.
Wait a minute. So that means the deer who are already obnoxious already are going to be even more obnoxious? Oh, my God.
Well, they might be less obnoxious because they're going to think it's night. So
Well,
they
what
might
the
just
heck's
go,
going on?
Those are Lewis's
shoot, that
deer.
came early.
They just
I guess we're
hulk
going
out.
to bed.
Yeah, right.
They get confused.
The armadillos start running out and everything. Oh, look at this! Woohoo!
Yeah, I was
Party
gonna say,
time.
the skunks, all the night creatures.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
The
right.
chupacabra is what I'm worried about. That's when he comes out.
That's
Gilbert's
true.
got one of those that lives in his.
Oh, absolutely.
One
Of
lives
course.
in Gilbert's backyard.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gilbert's trying to
breeds
catch one.
Gilbert just breeds them.
Yeah.
That's another reason
That's why
people
they
to
haven't
come
gone
here.
extinct yet. It's Gilbert.
I'm surprised that's not a Texas landmark yet. Gilbert Paiz Chupacabra Farm.
Right.
We have an armadillo one. Why can we have
I
one?
can add it as an attraction.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So, in all seriousness, though, I mean, this is something, you tell us a bit about your background in science and space, because we'll talk about, I'm going to ask you about Virgin Galactic in a minute here, but tell us a little bit about your background and your love of this, of astronomy and space and everything.
I'm diehard spacer, and there's a lot of us here in Kerrville, which is great. There's a lot of retired NASA folks. It's so fun. It's like they're like family. I'm like, oh, my people.
Right.
But since I was 6 years old, I wanted to go to space. Like that's my thing. And the adults would say, "Oh, you want to be an astronaut?" I was like,
No, I said I want to go to space.
by the time I grow up, everyone's gonna have a rocket in their garage. God, adults are so dumb.
Yeah. Right.
So went to Stanford. Like wanted to, just on. If I could have majored in space, I would have, but they didn't have that yet.
Rude.
I know.
How dare.
Yeah.
But after Stanford, I came to Texas.
Okay.
I have 2 years. I lived in Texas for 2 years, so I got some Texas cred. Mm-hmm. I went to Johnson Space Center, so I lived in Houston.
You live in Houston. That doesn't really count, does it? Does it count?
Oh,
Gilbert,
that's more Texas than Texas.
panel. Texas natives. Can I get a ruling on that? Does that count for some Texas cred?
We'll give you 2 stars. Yes.
Yes. 2 stars. All right.
You got to be here for at least 10 years before you can
right,
actually start saying,
right,
okay,
right. Okay.
I'm a Texan.
I share some of that enthusiasm with you. I went to space camp and Space Academy as a kid.
Look at
I was
that.
14
See?
and 15.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
San Jose. was like the first spot. That was my first trip to California. That was space camp. It was amazing.
This is something that's
amazing,
new. We
Andy.
did not know that about you.
No.
We did not know
That's
that
a whole
Andrew
new
was a
dimension.
space
and
kid
then
nerd.
Space Academy when you turn 15 was like the upgrade, and that was in Alabama.
In Huntsville.
Huntsville,
Oh,
yeah.
you got to go do both.
Yes.
Oh,
Back-to-back
cool.
years
That
with
is
a buddy
very
of mine.
cool.
Did you what was your role? What did you do?
You take turns, or at least this is the way it was, because this has been 20 years ago. You were on ground control for one simulation,
Right.
and then you were like in the shuttle for the second simulation, or vice versa,
Yeah.
and then the same thing both years. But I remember some of the toys they had there. Like there was the 1/8 chair, right, where you like hook up to it and you can bounce around like if you're on the moon, right?
Yeah, right.
It was like 1/8 your gravity, so you could jump, whatever, 8
Jump
times as
high,
high, or
right,
whatever.
right.
And they had some stuff that I'll never forget. One of the last days in Space Academy, they had one of these kids just like a Sandlot style, just projectile vomiting all over the floor.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
it was
Well,
great.
I'd imagine at space camp, there's got to be at least one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
But yeah, it was cool. Great memories.
Great memories.
Yeah.
All right. So you have another space nerd next to you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That explains
So-
a lot, actually.
Yeah. Right.
That's right.
All right. So you went to Stanford, and then you went to this Johnson Space Center. Then what happened? Then what? Tell us more.
I went back to NASA Ames, where you started at your space camp, and was working with Dr. Chris McKay on growing plants on Mars, which is so
Right.
fun.
That is impressive.
Yeah, I was like Mark Watney before it was cool.
Wow.
And then I decided, I want to do this. So I went back to school to get a PhD so I could do research and went to Southern California. I went to Caltech to start grad school. I didn't quite finish that, but I started.
You started. You went there. You were on
Still
the campus, right? You were on the campus, and they still had. I think they still had a football team at that point, maybe. So, didn't Caltech have football for a while? I mean, I think so. I don't know.
They're all astronauts practicing.
They're
their
all
space.
practicing, right?
Maybe in the 20s.
Yeah. Okay, so
Maybe
so
they still do.
Yeah.
The Martian, though. By the way, did you watch that movie with fascination?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love it because the bad guy was physics. Or not, it was just like entropy. You have to fight to stay alive. There was there was some politics on Earth, but like mostly what he's dealing with is like, how do I stay alive? And I thought that was cool.
Right. It's very, the idea that you could do what he did in that movie, the way Mark Watney wrote it is just fascinating too. I mean, it's a great one as well. And so then what happened after you're done with you leave Caltech and then you go into what?
Oh my gosh, I had some great adventures. I went to the bottom of the ocean with James Cameron.
That's right.
To film an IMAX movie, Aliens of the Deep.
Yeah.
Because he wanted a master biologist. My training's in astrobiology.
Right. So,
And,
I mean, that's the thing, like, if you think about it, too, like, in the ocean, if the extreme environments, if you're going to find extraterrestrial life on a
that's
planet
my theory.
or
If
a
they're
moon,
here, they're hanging out down there.
they're hanging out. Well, that's the abyss. That's also documentary. But if
and
you're,
people say I'm crazy.
right. I mean, I guess the speculation, like, we're at a point now where it wouldn't be surprise us if we found microbial life like orbiting one of the moons of Jupiter. Would I be wrong on that?
No, that's what we're hoping to
because
find.
that's what you're looking for.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Did you, Europa.
Were you on the actual vessel?
Yeah,
That one?
I got to go
Holy
2 miles down,
Wow.
Titanic depths of the ocean.
You're
probably
In
one
the
of the
same
coolest
vehicles he
people
dove
I've ever gotten
Titanic
to
in.
meet.
If you've seen the
In
movie, the
bottom
orange.
in the Mariana Trench?
No, Mariana
okay.
Trench is a different matter. So most
Okay.
of the ocean is 6,000 meters.
Yeah, okay.
And that's 2 miles. Oh, let's do it in miles because
Okay,
miles.
Thank you.
Come on, we're in
Sorry.
Texas. So most of the
Yes,
ocean is
thank
2
you.
miles
US.
down, and the Mariana Trench is 7 miles down. So
That's right.
it's like a Grand Canyon of the ocean.
Yeah,
So
right.
we went to the bottom of the ocean, and then that's like an extra
Didn't he do
5
that too,
miles.
though?
Oh my God.
Crack down.
I don't think they've ever been
Yes,
there. Yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Years later, Cameron went back, and
Yeah.
now there a number of people have gone.
God.
Wow. How long do you have to? Do you have to do the decompression thing? Like,
No, luckily,
you're- yeah.
because we keep the pressure in the vehicle. It's like we have a titanium shell.
right? You can just get out of it, right?
And we
regulate
keep
it.
it's better than an airliner.
Yeah.
Like an airliner doesn't keep the same pressure as
Right.
ground, so your ears pop.
Yeah.
But we keep the same pressure as sea level, so your ears don't even pop.
How big was
so
it?
impressive.
Oh, it's like helicopter, just big enough for 3 people.
Yeah.
Like this, like 2 meters,
So
Does it
you're
make-
not claustrophobic.
7 feet.
yeah.
No, I could handle that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I guess not. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a close one.
But James Cameron, though, he's
crazy.
one of these guys. There's. It's interesting. Like to me, there's certain celebrities out there who just get really geeked out about things.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Hanks is one of those guys. You got after Apollo 11 or after Apollo 13, he made that From Earth to the Moon, the miniseries. You know, after Saving Private Ryan, he made Band of Brothers. So I mean, and then James Cameron just has been exploring the whole time since Titanic. I mean, like changed his life, or maybe it was The Abyss. I don't know. So he's always been interested in that kind of
He
stuff.
clearly digs the ocean.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then these TED Talks you've made. You've done some talks. You've written a book. What was the book about?
The book, The New Right Stuff, Using
Yeah.
Space to Bring Out the Best in You. It's a handbook that I use to help people in my community, the space exploration industry, to learn the skills they didn't teach us in grad school. How to resolve conflicts, how to be confident, how to listen, how to have integrity, how to make things happen, how to make your dreams happen, how to contribute your gifts to the universe.
Right. Will we see a manned mission to Mars in our lifetime?
We will see a crewed mission to Mars in my lifetime, yes.
Really? Okay. All right. I'm excited for that. How old
is
will we
exciting.
be? Because if you're turning 50.
Turning 50.
Gilbert and I are 51, 52.
Yep.
Will we still be? Will we be in the home when it happens, or will it be?
Well, keep your eyes on Elon Musk and SpaceX because they're doing some testing in Boca Chica, South and Starbase, of their orbital test of Starship, and that's going to be game changing. Once they get that vehicle flying, it's then you're going to hit the exponential curve of technology. I mean, that'll be able to take 100 people into space at one time.
Wow.
Game changing.
Right.
And it'll be able to take 100 people anywhere
like a
on the
space
Earth
bus.
in 10 minutes.
But
10 minutes, sorry.
If you
An
build
hour.
it, though, like one of the things like with Watney's book, even he recognized the fact that you'd have to have a pretty significant ship to do that. It's just like you're not taking a capsule.
No.
Yeah, you're taking a big ship.
Absolutely.
So how do we build that too? Do we build it in space? Do we build it in the U.S.? Or right here in Texas? I mean, how do we build that thing?
Yeah, right here in Texas. Sounds good to
And
me.
then take it up in pieces? I mean, what is it,
Well, that's what Starship's for, is like, Elon's whole goal is to make humans interplanetary.
Right.
Multiplanetary. And so having a ship that could take 100 people, that ship is big enough that you could just go to Mars.
But you don't think, though, that the aliens will wipe out Elon before he gets up there after reading the Twitter feed these days. So
I thought he was an alien.
You can't be too careful.
you can't be
You got to
too
watch
careful.
your Twitter feed.
Okay, now, but you're also kind of connected in another way to another entrepreneur named Richard Branson, who runs Virgin Galactic, and you have a seat on one of those. Is it sub-orbital?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that opportunity.
Yeah, so I'm super excited because I bought a ticket to go to space.
Okay.
And we're doing a suborbital flight, so it'll be like Alan Shepard did in the 60s.
Yeah.
Go up into space. You'll be up in space for a couple minutes, and then you come back down and land. Actually, ours just looked like a plane, so it'll land on a runway where you took off. And it's incredible. If people to go orbit around the Earth. If you want to orbit, you have to go 25 times the speed of sound.
Okay.
Mach 25.
Wow.
And it actually, it's like, I like to geek out on this.
Please
so
do.
So kids are like, wait, or adults. Okay, all of it. Okay,
Yeah,
then we
we
turn
all
into
do.
kids.
All of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love explaining the difference between suborbital and orbital. So the difference is just speed. You go up to space, and if you're not going fast enough, you just come back down. So it's like a pail of water. So if I have a pail of water and I'm going fast enough, the water just stays in the bucket.
Oh, wow.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going too slow with the bucket, the water's going to fall out. And that's the same with orbit. So the reason a vehicle can stay in Earth orbit is because it's going 25 times the speed of sound. And it goes, in fact, for the space shuttle to come home, it just slows down. It flips around, fires the rockets the other way to slow down, starts going Mach 24.5, and it starts descending.
Wow.
Gravity starts bringing it back to Earth. And so we're going to go up to space, but we're only going three times the speed of sound.
Oh, how
We'll still get the
disappointing.
sonic boom, which is cool.
You'll
I know.
hear it. You'll hear it.
But I've never gone three
No,
times the
I
speed of
know.
sound
No.
before,
It's
so I think
all
that's really
exciting.
cool.
It's all
Super excited about it.
exciting.
So we'll be going 3 times the speed of sound. We'll go up into space, but gravity's going to bring us right back down.
And you're going to do this in New Mexico. because now we have multiple spaceports, right? We've got one in New Mexico, we've got one in West Texas, we have the one in down here in Texas, obviously down the coast. You're flying out of where?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. And does that have like a how do they launch you guys? Is it in a rocket or is it
slingshot?
Yeah.
There are a number of options. The Virgin Galactic system is an airplane carrier.
Right.
So we'll take off on a runway, we'll land on a runway, and the airplane will. It's a really big airplane. It takes the rocket's mounted underneath.
Right.
And it'll fly us up to about 50,000 feet, and then it'll drop the spaceship.
Right.
And the spaceship will light its rocket engines and fire.
Kind of like a cruise missile, most likely. I mean, like
Everybody knows it's the flux capacitor.
It's
All you
a
gotta
flux
do is flip the
capacitor.
switch and
Right.
you take off, man.
Yeah, it's easy.
now when you
Gilbert's also an astronaut.
when you have people who doubt it, because we're in the time we're in the idiot time of like doubting stuff. And Buzz Aldrin has no problem punching people in the face who said you didn't walk on the moon. Do you ever get that from people? I mean, it's kind of a silly question.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so I mean, you hate to root for people who get killed, but when they like those flat earthers, like they launch themselves into space to prove that they were and then they die because of gravity. It's kind of okay, Darwin, you win. So. But do you get any of that kind of stuff?
You're like, and your comments on that?
Yeah, comment on that for me.
No, it was a big craze. I mean, the Apollo deniers.
Yeah.
That was a big thing about 15 years ago. And there's the videos out, and can't you see the stars?
The
and why
shadows.
yeah, it's all. And if you explain light or photography, something bright, you can't see the stars in the background.
Right.
But the one I think found most compelling, because you don't even have to understand physics, you just have to understand politics. Well, anyway, is that we were in a huge race with the Russians at that point.
Right.
And we were like, it was big deal. That was like a war.
Yeah.
It was the Cold War.
Yeah, and it was like now or never do
and
it.
they were watching our every move. They've got spies, they've got telemetry, they've got satellites. They're watching everything we're doing. We're in this fierce competition. If we had faked it, the Russians would have called BS on us. They would have been like, "No, we didn't see any signals. We didn't see anything.
We knew it was
They're
lying.
lying. They're lying to you. The Americans
Right.
are lying." So, but
Well, I mean,
they weren't going to go along with
if
this
you
lie.
read,
Right.
there's several books that I like to about the Cold War. The Cold War just basically was, what you want to do? What? Let's try that. You want to blow up what? Yeah, sure, go ahead. We need to detect Soviet launch stuff. We need to invent something to detect that. Like we would not know as much about we know as the Earth if it wasn't for the Cold War, and the stuff that was coming. I mean, I love the space battleship story. I don't know if you guys have heard that story before. Have you heard that story? So the Curtis LeMay, who was just completely out of control most of the time, they wanted to build a space battleship, and they took it to John Kennedy. Jack Kennedy and JFK, and like, hey man, we got this. They had the plans for it. It was going to have these massive nuclear reactors, and they showed it to him, and he's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do it. It was going to be like a first strike weapon with like I don't know how many warheads it had in it, and it carried like 300 people. It was like something like Moonraker. It was crazy, but they thought they could do it in the 50s and 60s, and later on. One of the guys who was the engineer on the project, he had the plans for the thing in his garage, in San Diego. And he's like, well, here it is. Here's. But they took the reactors from this thing, and they're like, well, we built these reactors to power this thing. So they knew how to do stuff, because the Cold War was like carte blanche on science, Let's blow. How big of a bomb can we blow up in the atmosphere? How big of a bomb can we blow up? It was like, it was like little kids running amok, So anyway, that's just my 2 bits.
That's a great take on the Cold War.
It is a great take on the Cold War. It's well informed though by some folks. Anyway, but if you want to really know Annie Jacobson, if you can follow her on Twitter, she's also crazy, but is interesting about the Cold War. So, okay. So when is your
Cold War plug?
Oh yeah.
And everybody knows Moonraker was real. What are you talking about?
Of course it was real. Napoleon Dynamite was a documentary. When do you go on your flight? When is the plan on that?
So we just did our lottery, and I drew 17. So I'll be the 17th customer to fly on Virgin Galactic.
Right.
Very cool.
Spaceship. Yeah, super cool. We'll fly about 3 customers per flight. They're reserving one seat to include other people to join us, which is really exciting. And they said they're going to start flying this summer.
Okay.
And so conservative in our business, we're always really super conservative.
Yeah.
And so let's say we're flying, once every 2 months or something, 6 flights. So I'm thinking I could fly as soon as next summer.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be a big year next year.
Yeah. Especially a big year for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turning 50, got an eclipse and a space flight.
Right.
Life made.
Turning
Truly.
50 really is not that
That's
exciting.
a hell of a way to
I'll tell
turn
ya.
50. You've set the bar very high.
That's very high. I think I had my 50th birthday party at Bomb's ice cream facility in Greenville, Texas.
That's so comparable to hers.
I know. So
Like the same person.
yeah. All right.
It's like looking in a mirror.
We'll talk to we got all this down from Loretta, but first I got to go over to my Texas Hill Country advisors. The eclipse is going to do what to the economy?
Yes, ask
We'll have
them because
to
I'm
read
tired
the
of people
tea
asking
leaves.
me.
Okay, I wanted to ask you another question. Can I ask you one more question?
Go ahead,
Okay,
Andrew.
so
Go ahead. Take over.
You're going to have a period of zero gravity?
Yes.
How long?
We'll be in waitlist for about 3.5 minutes. And I used to work, for 10 years I worked for Zero Gravity Corporation. They have 80 flights on their airplane that they use to train astronauts for weightlessness. And so I have about 5 hours of weightless time in 30-second bits.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's so, and by the way, it's so magical.
Yeah, now you get 3 minutes of it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you ever get a chance to fly on the airplane, float weightless.
That's a hard no for me. Thank you.
I know, because I was thinking,
Gilbert's
like,
out.
I'm hella claustrophobic. I would die on a helicopter-sized vessel going under the ocean. I could not. I love the idea of all of that, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I need your stomach. Yeah.
Well, it's the up and down, right? That's the hard part, right? It's going up and then straight down, Yeah.
They try to take it easy on the NASA ones are hardcore, but the ones that are commercially available to the public, you'd have a
make
nice
it more
experience.
user-friendly.
They make it more
Right.
user
I
friendly.
knew that after going to space camp. I was like, I would be ground control. I would be.
Yeah.
I would not be in the vessel. No, thank you. Couldn't do it.
Well, that was one of the magical things about Apollo
Dramamine.
13 was that, they shot some of that, in weightlessness. So it was pretty cool. Which just proved that the moon land was fake. So there we go. All right, economy. Unless you have more questions, Andrew, go ahead and ask.
No, we could talk about. I could talk for another hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
We can
let's-
Joe Rogan it. We're already at 58 minutes, so we'll just do it.
I mean, we
another
don't have to
58.
bring down the mood.
Yeah.
And talk about the economy.
right.
No, we have good things to say
yeah,
about
let-
the market and
right.
the economy.
I'll read my disclosure and then we can jump to it. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group member FINRA SIPC. Texas Hill Country Advisors is not an affiliate of Next Financial Group. This material is not intended as an offer or solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security or other financial instrument. Past performance does not guarantee future performance. All the views expressed are those of Andrew Gay, Gilbert Paiz, and Texas Hill Country Advisors, and not those of Next Financial Group. The S&P 500 is a market cap weighted index composed of common stocks of 500 leading companies and leading industries of the U.S. economy, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is a price weighted index of 30 actively traded blue chip stocks. The big thing this week is on the economic front is going to be unemployment rate for March that we get out Friday, along with the non-farm payrolls that were added for the month of March. And ironically, some more Alanis Morissette for you. Friday, the market, it's Good Friday, so the markets are going to be closed that day.
there
So
we
we got
go.
a short trading week.
Short trading week, right. That mean you guys are going to be closed on Friday, or are you going to be working on Friday?
I will not be working on Friday.
Probably not working.
No,
Probably not working.
No.
Right.
But last Friday,
I will be.
Yeah.
last Friday was a good Friday too.
Yeah.
We had some data come out. Personal consumption expenditures
Yep.
data came out from the Fed, and it was lower, like we expected it to be, and that made the market pop on Friday. And,
Nice.
and actually, all of last week was good. We had a 3% increase in the Dow, the S&P,
Yep.
and the Nasdaq. So we had some good performance last week, and it's made all three major indexes positive for the year.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So end of the
Good
month,
stuff.
end of the quarter, they had a good quarter. I think year to date, the S&P sitting at 7% positive, Nasdaq 17%. The Dow's up about 0.4%.
All right. So pretty good news then.
That's right. We had a good January, back down in February. March floated around a little bit, but closed out relatively strong.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for these two? They're quality human beings. We have some good financial advisors in Texas. All the ones that created the problems before, they're all dead now. The SNL guys, they're all gone. So.
Darwinism.
Tom's over there. Tom's over there. Can I get a ruling? They're all dead now, right? The SNL guys.
They've moved on.
Oh, they moved on. Yeah, right. They moved to Kerrville. That's true. Ooh, that's true. They took their money and ran to Kerrville, ran to the hills. All right. All right.
They're retired now. They're our clients.
Anything else for you guys? Loretta?
One